Live from our studios in Frankfurt, Germany, this is the AFN Evening News.
Good evening. NATO Secretary General Manfred Wörner says the Western allies are still solid in their stand against Iraq's Saddam Hussein. Secretary Wörner opened a two-day meeting of NATO foreign ministers today in Brussels. The NATO chief says the allies are ready to go to war if necessary to make Saddam Hussein give up Kuwait. Another issue at the NATO meeting is money. The Secretary General is calling on European members to take more responsibility for defense. Wörner says the burden of defense must be readjusted within the alliance. Also attending that meeting, Secretary of State James Baker. NATO allies are backing Baker in his dispute with Iraq over setting a date to hold talks on heading off a war in the Gulf. Iraq insists on a January 12th date. The Bush administration says that's too close to the United Nations deadline of January 15th. Forward elements of 7th Corps are now in Saudi Arabia. Gail McCabe spent the past few days in the desert tracking 7th Corps soldiers as they change environments. One of the first orders of business, the posting of the colors.
As the sun rises over the Persian Gulf, American military aircraft prepare for another turnaround trip, bringing in the next contingent of 7th Corps soldiers. At the ports, ships as big as skyscrapers head back for more of massive amounts of machinery, all needed for possible combat. These are the advanced elements of 7th Corps. The sheer magnitude of the operation is awesome.
We're pouring them into the ports. The conditions there are austere, but they're adequate. They're being fed hot food. They get showers every day. The latrine facilities are in place. But the most important thing of all is the attitude of the soldiers. Their morale is high. Their spirit and their enthusiasm is unbelievable.
In a brief but inspiring ceremony, 7th Corps made it known that they are here.
Clearly, the 7th Corps is undoubtedly a world premier heavy force deployed here in the theater. Everybody knows that, recognizes it, and I certainly appreciate it.
It's been a great team effort within the Corps. It was a great team effort to get us here from U.S. Army Europe, and it's been a great teamwork effort here by 3rd Army to receive us here in Saudi.
It was just a short while ago we saw the colors being cased for the move from Germany. Today, 7th Corps raised their colors to join other unit colors in support of Operation Desert Shield. Somewhere in Saudi Arabia, Gail McCabe, 7th Corps, AFN News.
Gail McCabe will be reporting throughout the week on 7th Corps activities in the Gulf. Tomorrow night, we'll see how vehicles and equipment are transformed from OD green to desert brown. Well, family members of troops deployed to Operation Desert Shield can now take a military flight to the States without a sponsor. USAR officials say family members will receive space available priority on military aircraft. But this is a one-time offer authorized only during deployment of the sponsor. Those traveling on environmental morale leave should be prepared to pay for a return trip, as European flights from the States are scarce and the government will not guarantee return flights to overseas installations. Well, thousands of tracked vehicles are being shipped from the European theater to the Gulf in support of Operation Desert Shield. Loading those vehicles by rail is serious business. And as 5th Corps' Lee Ferguson reports, that's why safety comes first.
The 8th Infantry Division performs to standards, and during rail uplinks, this is a key in preventing accidents. 5th Corps safety officers are providing on-site guidance during deployment in support of Operation Desert Shield.
Be familiar with the hazards around the rail site. You want to look at the size of the railhead because some of the railheads are really small, and so it's tight to move in and around the railheads. Also, you have to remove snow and ice from the ramps, from the rail cars, so that it's clear and that you can get in and out of the site and work around there. You want to stay clear of nearby rail tracks because some of these tracks where we rail load are right next to high-speed rail lines, and you don't want to get soldiers run over by the trains. The electrical power lines around the railheads have approximately 15 to 17,000 volts. Climbing onto equipment can result in electrocution. You want to make sure that the railmeister has turned off the electric before you begin rail loading. Once you complete it, stay off the top of the equipment. Okay, ground guiding around the railhead is probably the most important item that we deal with. The ground guys have to know what they're doing because they can get injured as well as anyone else. Also, with the cold weather, you want to wear your gloves. You want to protect your personnel from cold weather injury as well. Have soup and coffee available. That's going to make things go a lot better for the guys working around here for long hours.
To stay safe, know the standards and perform to them. For 5th Corps' Public Affairs Office, this is Lee Ferguson with TV5 for AFN News.
The Air Force is testing a new radar system. It's called the Joint Surveillance and Target Attack Radar System, but they call it JSTARS. And a unit in Europe has been chosen to test it. We get more from Staff Sergeant Jim Frost.
Believers in JSTARS call it the centerpiece of the follow-on forces attack strategy. Mounted inside a Boeing 707 airframe and electronically connected to Army ground stations, JSTARS gives the Army and the Air Force instant information on enemy ground forces. In a word, JSTARS is the latest and greatest in tactical reconnaissance and surveillance technology.
The Joint STARS system is an airborne radar platform, unlike the one you've got at an airport or something like that. It's mounted on a 707 type airframe, and it looks down at the ground, scanning wide areas of the ground, and detects moving targets.
He actually sees the movement of convoys. He gets yellow dots on the screen. He watches the yellow dots move down the road, and those yellow dots represent moving targets.
But finding enemy targets isn't cheap. The total cost of the JSTARS program will reach more than $8 billion. It's high resolution, high technology, and high priced.
It's on time and on cost, and is very, very well managed, and we think it's going to be a tremendous asset and tremendous payback for that amount of money.
During European tests, JSTARS was shown to commanders who can benefit from the technology. One highlight of the field test program was an exercise called Deep Strike. During the exercise, the system reportedly did what it was supposed to do and was highly praised by the NATO commanders who saw it in action. Staff Sergeant Jim Frost, EBS News.
3 enlisted men were given top honors by the U.S. European Command for their commitment to duty and uniform. Sergeant Mike Lessons reports.
The very best.
The UCOM Best of the Best Enlisted of the Year were heralded for their commitment to excellence at Patch Barracks NCO Club. UCOM Deputy Commander General James McCarthy presented the Enlisted Persons of the Year awards to Air Force Senior Master Sergeant Randall Byers, Army Sergeant First Class Waldemar Estrella, and a representative for Navy Chief Petty Officer George Hyder. General McCarthy, in his opening speech, commented on how the enlisted members' success can be measured in part by the support they got from their spouses. The 3 top enlisted in UCOM each received a 4-day stay at Walt Disney World, free transportation to Disney via Delta Airlines, free luggage from AFN TV Guide, and medallions and certificates of achievement from the command. In Stuttgart, Army Sergeant Mike Lessons, AFN News.
Tech Sergeant Rob Rios is in Texas for the holiday season. We get our weather forecast from the folks at Detachment 8, 7th Weather Squadron in Frankfurt.
Unfortunately, tomorrow's weather will be much the same as today's. High pressure remains anchored over Central Europe again tomorrow, keeping the fog and low clouds over most of the viewing area. Continuous light snow will be prevalent over the southern areas, with intermittent light snow over central and southern Germany, and the added bonus of light drizzle and freezing drizzle in northern Germany, the Benelux, and the United Kingdom. Fog will form rapidly after sunset this evening, with some areas of dense fog, especially low-lying areas. Temperatures across Central Europe tonight rather cool, the low to mid-20s, the highs just above freezing. Temperatures over the United Kingdom will range from near freezing to the lower 40s. This weather forecast provided by Detachment 8, 7th Weather Squadron, Frankfurt, Germany.
Well, the U.S. dollar's gained a little bit of ground since Friday's trading session. Let's take a look at tomorrow's military exchange rates.
I'm Major Mike Wood, and I want to wish a happy holiday season to my family, Christy, Beth, Jeff, and to little Kristen for the first time spending Christmas with the Wood family and New Year's. And also to my son, Jeffrey, whatever you're doing, stop it.
My name's Sergeant Terry Dickens from Charlie 25, Nyom, Germany. I'd like to say hello to my friends, my family, and wish them a good holiday greetings.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Rice from Bayreuth, Germany, 84th Engineers. I'd like to wish my family a happy holiday. My wife Carrie, the 3 children, Charlie, Danny, and Matthew, and my cat Rambo.
Hello, I'm Colonel Ed Simpson with Headquarters 7th Corps. I'd like to wish happy holidays to everyone back in Germany and let you know that we're all down here in the sunshine enjoying it very much. A special hello and I love you to my family, my wife Kathy, my daughter Jenny, my son David, and all my loved ones back in the States.
Make a selection, please. Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Buddhist, Orthodox.
Well, which key am I supposed to push? Where is it?
Make a selection, please. Catholic, Protestant, Jewish.
Now you wait a minute.
Thank goodness religion hasn't been computerized these days, too. Even in the military overseas, it's still a person-to-person experience. Your chapel and chaplain are here for you.
By the middle of next month, there will be 400,000 American troops in the Persian Gulf. Some of those soldiers who've been called to support Operation Desert Shield are guardsmen. For the families of those soldiers, the Gulf crisis has had an unusual impact on family life. From Savannah, Georgia, we get the story of Clifton and Lisa and how they're coping with deployment.
M-Day at the Armory. Specialist Clifton Jones makes last-minute adjustments. M-Day at home on a quiet Savannah street. Business as usual, except Clifton's gone. Lisa has 2 children, a full-time job, and a plan developed with the help of a family support group.
My oldest little girl's in daycare. Her grandfather took her up, and the littlest one, I take her to a babysitter before I go to work and pick her up at night when I get off hospital.
For some guardsmen, the call-up means a cut in pay, but Clifton discovers his finances will actually get a boost. Good news. Lisa relies on Clifton and her family support group for news.
Because I know it's going to be accurate, correct, and I'd rather just go to support groups and get information from them.
Lisa gets a lot out of her visits to the Family Support Center. She's learned to decipher a leave and earnings statement. She's enrolled in DEERS. She's made her first trip to the commissary. Things she'll need to know. Clifton's gone. Sergeant Lance Milstead, Savannah, Georgia.
The extended military family in Europe depends a great deal on volunteers. Sometimes volunteers provide some exceptionally thoughtful services, things a mom might do, as we see in this report from the Netherlands.
About once a month, the base chapel at Soesterberg threads the needle and sews the cloth in an effort to help out the single military people on base. The chapel calls their effort Summom, and it's a chance for singles to get patches and name strips sewn on their uniforms.
It's a way of showing that somebody cares and that the people of the chapel particularly are here to help and be of service. And so we try to help the young troops in some way.
On the average, we usually have about 20 people come in. And if it's very busy, we get more. Tonight it's been kind of slow.
According to the chapel workers, the hardest part is getting people to use the service. Not too many singles are on base these days because dormitory renovations are ongoing. But some people do show up for the extra help.
And most single people that I know don't own a sewing machine, and getting patches and stripes sewn on by the chapel really helps out. And
putting on stripes is a touchy business because the workers have to adhere to strict regulations. They have pictures and charts to go by, and that keeps them on track.
But every once in a while they change things on us, and so we have to find out what's coming out of the schools, leadership schools, the PME and everything, exactly how they want the stripes and the badges to be placed.
Helping people out makes the workers feel good, and getting patches sewn on makes the singles feel good. So only one question remains. What does some mom really mean?
We're not sure. Single unaccompanied military men and munch is what we think.
Reporting from Soesterberg Air Base, the Netherlands, Air Force Sergeant Eric Whitmore, AFN News.
Well, since Operation Desert Shield began, we've seen volunteers from kindergarten classes to corporations donating everything from cookies to cassette tapes. In Belgium, the call for Desert Shield Christmas boxes received a warm and generous response from the community. We get more in this report.
How much love can you squeeze into a shoebox? The Brussels American community wanted our soldiers in Saudi Arabia to know, so they launched Operation Shoebox. For 2 weeks, area residents built care packages to send to the Gulf in time for Christmas. The response was great, according to ACS Director Peg Yankee.
There's between 700 and 800 shoe boxes that have been brought to this facility today for shipping to Operation Desert Shield, but we do still have boxes coming in all the time.
Gifts included some traditional Belgian items, plus drink mix, tissues, batteries, books, stationery, playing cards, and some munchies. Some contributors were even more generous.
We've also found some boxes that actually have Walkmans in them, travel alarm clocks, sunglasses, and articles of those types.
But it didn't end with the giving. Volunteers had to check the boxes to make sure nothing was shipped that would offend Saudi Arabian sensitivities. Then the boxes were inventoried, sealed, packed in larger boxes, and, complete with customs documents, handed over to the APO. Among the volunteers were some unexpected visitors, like the wife of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mrs. Alma Powell.
I happen to have the honor and the privilege to do this when I go out to visit people. This is the most exciting time I have seen so far. It really is.
As she said later, the event combined the Christmas spirit with that strong military spirit that always pitches in and gets the job done. From Brussels, Belgium, Sergeant Austin Camacho, AFN News.
And that's our report. Thanks for joining us as we close a little old-fashioned holiday music. Good night.